Hello viewers, this is Subathra Mylsamy, partner at AK Mylsamy and Associates. Sorry for the long gap. It is very much required that we prioritize our health. I was sick for some time, so especially women, please don't sacrifice everything including your health. Kindly prioritize your health because health is wealth, and by God's grace I'm back now. So let us get into our topic for this video. So today's video is going to be on the International Women's Day, which is being celebrated throughout the world annually on March 8th, which is a focal point in women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, and violence and abuse against women. So it is a global day which is celebrated the social, economic, cultural and political achievements of women. Now, coming to the history of International Women's Day, in 1908, against a backdrop of terrible working conditions and exploitation of 15,000 women protested in the streets of New York for shorter hours, better pay and voting rights. The following year, the Socialist Party of America announced a National Women's Day to honor these strikers, and in 1910 it went global. The Social International voted for the creation of a Women's Day to advocate for suffrage. The first International Women's Day was held in 1911 and more than 1 million people turned out to rallies in Europe. Later on, International Women's Day was acknowledged and celebrated by people at grassroots levels, a rallying point for social justice. Only in the year 1975, United Nations adopted International Women's Day on March 8th. So every year, the UN brings out a theme for the Women's Day. So the theme for this year is Digital Innovation and Technology for Gender Equality. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about this year's theme. So this theme is aligned with the priority theme for upcoming 67th session of the Commission of the Status of Women. The United Nations observance of International Women's Day recognizes and celebrates the women and girls who are championing and the advancements they have put forth in transformative technology and digital education. So International Women's Day of 2023 will explore the impact of digital gender gap on widening economic and social inequalities. So the event will also spotlight the importance of protecting the rights of women and girls in digital spaces and addressing online and gender-based violence. International Women's Day is celebrated once in a year as a chance to remind the governments, the business and everyone else watching that women aren't going anywhere and we are prepared to take action to achieve our human rights, since the progress of laws on women hasn't been equal yet. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the difference between equity and equality. So the campaign theme of International Women's Day is Embrace Equity. So let us understand the difference between equity and equality. Now, equity refers to fairness and justice. Equity is about giving people what they need. Equality refers to equal opportunity, equal access, equal treatment, equal sharing and division, that is, keeping everyone at the same level. Equality gives the same thing to all the people irrespective of their need and demand. Thus, we can say that equity is the means to reach to equality. Now I'm going to talk to you about the Supreme Court's steps towards recognizing the rights of the women. Some of the very landmark judgments passed by the Supreme Court is what I will be highlighting about on this topic. So first aspect is the right to decide the surname of the child. Recently, the Supreme Court in the case called Akela Lalita versus Konda Hanumanta Rao and another ruled that the mother, being the only natural guardian of the child after the death of the biological father, which is her husband, has the right to decide the surname of the child. Additionally, she is also permitted to place the child for adoption as a possibility. This is a very bold judgment given by the Supreme Court in order to protect the right of the woman and also giving the right for a mother to give her the option to have her own choice in giving the surname for the child. So thus the Supreme Court has clearly observed that a mother, once she remarries after the death of the biological father, she has the right completely to decide the surname of the child and include it in a new family. Another landmark judgment given by the Supreme Court has been on the aspect where the court has taken cognizance of marital rape under abortion law. So in the recent ruling of the Supreme Court in the case X versus the Principal Secretary, Health and Family Welfare Department, Government of Delhi and another, the court for the first time has recognized that marital rape as a rape. As per this judgment, wives who have become pregnant as a result of their husbands forcing them into sexual activity will also fall under the definition of survivors of sexual assault of rape or incest, as stated in Rule 3BA of the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Rules. And this could be also a ground for abortion of any kind of unwanted pregnancy. So the meaning of rape must therefore be understood as including marital rape solely for the purposes of getting an abortion. So under the same case which I had mentioned before, the right to safe and legal abortion has been extended to single unmarried women as well. So the abortion or termination of pregnancy has been legal in India since 1971 under the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. In 2021, the law was amended to allow certain categories of women, including married women who were divorced or widowed, minors, rape victims or mentally ill women to obtain abortions up to 24 weeks, raising it from previous 20 weeks. But the changes did not include single women, causing many to question why the law differentiated on the basis of the marital status. So the Supreme Court interpreted the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act and the related rules purposely to hold that the legislature did not intend to distinguish between married and unmarried women. So a narrow interpretation limited only to married women would render the law discriminatory towards unmarried women and violate the fundamental right of equality. So in this decision, the Supreme Court recognized the reproductive and the decisional autonomy are essential to the realization of fundamental human rights. So the change in the law has been hailed by many women and several reproductive right activists. So the Supreme Court's recognition on marital rape as a rape under the abortion law and also including the right to abort the child under the above circumstances is a step forward to break out discrimination and inequality. Another landmark judgment by the Supreme Court on the 19th of May 2022 was that sex workers are entitled to equal protection of law. The Supreme Court ruled that sex workers should not be arrested or penalized or harassed or victimized, and they are entitled to equal protection of the law. The ruling upholds the dignity of the sex workers and will enable sex workers to avail themselves of the same benefits and facilities like any other citizens. Thus, sex workers and the children are covered under the protection of Article 21 of the Indian Constitution like any other profession and person. I would like to conclude by saying that celebrating International Women's Day is a show of solidarity with our sisters living in countries who may not be able to march out of their fear for their safety. On International Women's Day, we should remember that as long as any one woman faces discrimination, harassment, inequality or oppression, we all do. So it is extremely important as women that we stand by our sisters and we protect them, and also it is essential we voice our own opinions and fight for our own rights. So I wish all the women out here in this world a very, very happy International Women's Day. I hope this video would have been informative. Until then, bye-bye.